Hi again. And now for another exciting video. Justification. That's a word that is misunderstood, and the confusion is how we are justified. We're taught that we're just supposed to think something in the Greek mindset, but in the Hebrew understanding, obedience is required too, with the belief. So what you believe is shown in your behavior. You actually obey. But the disobedience proves that you don't believe, so it's just a programming deal. And for generations, people have not been trained. The name Kepha, or Peter, is a very interesting read too, because he's misunderstood as well, as I quoted him in the last video. But he quotes Paul's words, saying that Paul is misunderstood radically. And he says at 2 Peter 3:16 that the writings of Paul are difficult to understand by those who are untrained in the Torah. It's like a case of reader's block. You're reading something, but then your memory and your thoughts are triggered by what you have been taught about these words that you're reading, so that you're misdirected away from what you're reading. And I'll give you an example of that. When you hear people reading Paul, for example, he sounds like he's talking against the commandments, but he's not. He's talking about obeying the commandments, but he's talking about the old law is no longer in force. Like in Hebrews, it says that in chapter 8, that we're justified no longer by the animal blood. It's the animal blood that we're not justified by. That's the old covenant, the priesthood and the animal blood, and that's been obliterated. It's completely obsolete. And read Deuteronomy 31 verse 26, and it says, place this Torah beside the ark. And that's the instructions for the priesthood to offer animal blood. And then Hebrews chapter 8:13, it refers to that, the old priesthood, which is the old covenant that required animal blood sacrifices, which was training them to understand when Yahusha did appear and offered himself. And I'm going to mention who Yahusha really is at the end of this. It's like a case of reader's block, though. They're trained to be triggered by their pastor's training. Generations of wizards have been training the world to not obey Torah, like the deceit used on us in the garden. Our training is more tied to an excuse to disobey than to trust in Yahuwah's word. He tells us that he will burn the earth and gives us the reason, because mankind has changed his Torah, broken the everlasting covenant, yet teachers refuse to hear. Yashayahu, they call Isaiah, at chapter 24, verses 5 and 6, says this: for the Eretz, that's the earth, has been defiled under its inhabitants, because they have transgressed the Torah, changed the law, broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore a curse shall consume the Eretz, and those who dwell in it be punished. Yep. See how he works hard to interrupt the truth? Thus, now Yashayahu, or Isaiah 48:17 through 18, states it this way, quote, thus said Yahuwah, your Redeemer, the set-apart one of Yisrael. I am Yahuwah, your Elohim, teaching you what is best, leading you by the way you should go. If only you had listened to my commands, then your peace would have been like a river, and your uprightness like the waves of the sea. Unquote. Did you hear what he just said? I am Yahuwah, your Redeemer. He's the King of Yisrael. And that's what Yahusha said when he was talking to Pilate. Pilate said, you are a king then? He said, you said it. I am a king. who is he? Well, some people understand that he is Yahuwah. People confuse our justification with our obedience. These two things are related, but they're separate things. We obey because Yahusha lives in us and has shared his love for the truth with us. It's no longer we who live, but Yahusha lives in us. The world hates us because it hates him. Our obedience is his fruit, the evidence that we belong to him, and it is not what has delivered us. His blood is the only way we can be delivered. Our justification is explained for us at Hebrews 10, verses 17 through 26. Our justification is explained for us at Hebrews 10, verse 17 through 26. These verses explain how we are no longer to continue to sin. Anyone who willfully continues to sin after receiving atonement insults the Ruach of kindness by their behavior. Study the meaning of cheirographon. I'll put that word up here. You can look that up. It will show you. It is the list of our offenses that was nailed to the tree, not the commandments. The commandments defining sin are the mirror our own lives should perfectly reflect. See 2 Corinthians 3, verse 18. That mirror will never pass away or fail us. Baruch haba B'Shem Yahuwah. Thanks for watching. Bye.